Cashing Out Creativity Podcast. I'm your host, Bruce Outridge, and this is episode number 77. And today we're going to talk to comic book artist Paul Tomas. Paul is part of the group from the Oakville Oasis Drawing Bee. If you go back to episode number 74, you can learn more about the group. But we're going to talk to Paul about what he's doing. He's got a comic book series out, and he works with a lot of people doing inking and stuff like that, so he's always on the go. And we're going to talk to him about what he's doing and his comic books and how he got started and all of that kind of stuff. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. All right, so we are at the Oakville Oasis Drawing Bee, and we're talking to comic artist Paul Tomas. How are we doing, Paul?
Good. How are you, Bruce?
Good, buddy. So you've got books out. You've been doing comics for a long time. How long have you been drawing comics?
Well, I started drawing comics actually when I was in grade 2. I would steal paper from my teacher and take it home and trace all my comic covers.
Okay. But
seriously, I've probably been drawing comics since I was 18, so that's about 25 years of indie comics.
Okay, cool. And you've got one here. We got All We Were, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But you got some other titles. You got one called Sistina. Tell us about that one.
Sistina is a comic dream. I started when I was 18 years old, into a lot of the drug culture, Burroughs, Huxley, all those guys, Terence McKenna. And it just kind of developed this. It was very sexual, very drug-induced in the beginning, and then it kind of starts to unwind and unravel, and a lot of the characters are really still changing and stuff. So
it's been going on. Now, I met you, I think the first time I met you, well, I don't know if it was here, or if I met you at Toronto. We used to
go to Gladstone.
The Gladstone. They used to have an illustration night and a comic night, and I know you were selling your stuff, and I was selling. That's when I had the Pride Junkie. So that was back in 2008 is when I had doing the Pride Junkie stuff. Yeah. So and you had, I think at that time I bought like 7. You had a whole bunch. I bought a whole bunch from you, 6, 7, but they weren't as nicely produced as what you're doing now. So did you? You started it as a personal project. Yeah. What made you take it to something that you wanted to sell? Just to make some money, or did you?
To make some money, yeah. It's just a character that I started developing, and now it's like I'm drawing her all the time, and I've pretty much mastered drawing her. I could probably draw her in any angle, any pose. I think that's when you're starting comic books or you're learning about comic books. You gotta really, there's a lot of stuff that you have to kind of study and glean.
Yeah, I found that out, because when I learned to draw, I'm totally self-taught. And when I learned to draw, I used to copy. I would take the bus, the tokens for the bus, and cut out comics and cartoons out of the paper, all black and white stuff. And I could reproduce them, not trace them, but I could look at it and reproduce it. The problem is when I started drawing a comic book, I couldn't move anybody, because I never learned how to move an arm this way without seeing a picture of an arm that way, right?
Anatomy.
Yeah, and I had to go back and learn a lot of that myself, even as an older comic book artist. I started drawing at 10 and went trucking for 25 years, and then came back and got back into it. Nice. So tell us about this one called All We Were. And I like the logo the best. Of course, I did the logo. No, so tell us about this story. What's this one, All We Were? What's this one?
All We Were is about a character whose... The basic storyline is that society is going through an evolution, and people start getting sick and turning into lizards and dying. So it's this character's quest to try to find a cure before he dies.
Okay, cool. I won't. Does he find it? No, you don't have to tell us. Buy the comic, and you will find out how the story goes. I'm not going to make you give away all your. I'm not going to make you give away all the ending, because that's bad for sales. So are you? Is this you're working on another issue for this particular title?
Yeah.
Is that something that you do here at the Drawing Bee, or is it kind of outside the Drawing Bee?
It took me about 6 months of blowing pages up and doing storyboards. So the Oasis Drawing Bee is very much the time that I delegate towards my art. Right.
Cool.
This is I look forward to Mondays.
Yeah.
This is my guaranteed drawing time.
Wow. I won't take too much of your time up with it. What's your process for? You're primarily an inker because
I'm an inker
David
and
was
artist.
saying that inking is kind of what you do. So, what's your process? You've done all the pencils for this, or has someone else done the pencils for you?
I do all the pencils.
So you've done the pencils and you do the ink. How do you start? Like you do layouts probably in a
I
sketchbook.
do layouts in a sketchbook, and I blow them up onto 11 by 17 manga board.
Yeah.
And then I just scan it. And
Okay.
I'm primarily a black and white artist. So.
Yeah. I like black and white too. The colors are really good.